Hey everybody, welcome back to the third video in the self-care series. I will link the first two below. The first one is why you should practice self-care, and the second one is self-care tips and ideas for your physical well-being. This video is going to be all about self-care for your mind. This is super important. This is something I've been diving deep into this year, especially alongside my psychologist who has been helping me with it, and I'm so excited to share these tips with you today. So the tips I'm going to be sharing with you today are going to be tips that I use in my personal life. So know that it's not an extensive list. That's not what I'm going for here. I'm only sharing things that I personally practice because I like to share only things that I personally do. I want to practice what I preach. I don't want to sit here giving you 100 things that you can do. I'd so much rather share with you things that I actually do in my life because then I'm more confident that you can do them too, since I'm also doing them in my life. So the first tip that I have for you for your mental self-care is to start your day off with gratitude and prayer. And if you can't start your day off with that, plan in your mind or on paper or in your phone to notify you when you're going to sit down and do some written gratitude and prayer. If prayer is not your thing, meditation is also super awesome. I'm not going to dive too much into that, but look up meditation apps. There's so many things that can help you these days, or if you're just really great at sitting still and taking deep breaths, do that too. Essentially, if I can do it before my kids wake up, it's perfect, but if I do it after breakfast, that's fine as well. The point is, try to just do it as early in the day as possible because it sets the tone for the rest of your day. The reason why I say written gratitude is because it's way more powerful for you to actually pick up a pen and write down what you're grateful for and why. Don't just write, I'm grateful for coffee or I'm grateful for my husband. Write why. An example is, I'm grateful for my husband because he always gets up a little bit earlier and makes me breakfast. Or I'm grateful for my husband because he always selflessly gets out the door on time every morning to provide for my family or to provide for our family. Writing it down makes it stick in your brain so much better, and this practice of daily gratitude really helps to rewire your brain not only to look for positive things in your life, but also to just feel just so much lighter, more grateful for all the things that you have. It's really hard for us to recognize the thousands of blessings that we experience every single day because they become commonplace for us, like running water and a car to drive and a place to put gas in your car and going to the grocery store that has everything that you need and having the money to get the groceries you need. I can go on forever, but you get the point. Write down your daily gratitude, write down why you're grateful for what you're grateful for. I'm not going to say you need to do 3 things or 5 things, but 3 to 5 is a pretty good range. It doesn't take that long. And again, practicing this daily sets the tone for your day, forces you to look for the positive every single day and to just start the day off on a really good note. The second thing that I like to do kind of piggybacks off of the gratitude practice, and that is reframing your perspective. An example of this is if you see a pile of dirty dishes, it means you had food to eat. If you see food on the floor because your toddler is having a heyday and throwing all his breakfast on the floor, remember that at least you had the breakfast to give to him. So many people don't have food to eat. I know that sounds cliche to say, but it's true. Imagine if you were a mama who didn't have the food to give to your kids. That would just be heartbreaking. So remember the positive thing in context of something that may be annoying or an inconvenience. Another example is, oh, there's always so much laundry to do. Well, at least you have clothes to wear. Or I am so tired of taking care of all of these people, but at least that means that you have a full house and that you're not lonely. Reframing your perspective is so powerful. It's one of the most powerful things that I've been putting into practice in addition to daily gratitude, because it's something that I do throughout the day. When something I encounter is really frustrating or inconvenient, I try to flip it and reframe my perspective to realize just how lucky I am. The third tip for mental self-care is really simple but really effective, and that's intentionally deep breathing. So I know some of you might be thinking, oh my gosh, what's all this talk about the breath? But if you do the research, science shows that breathing deeply, intentionally breathing deeply for even just a few minutes or even just 3 times, it helps to lower your blood pressure, slow your heart rate, calm your mind, it increases oxygen to your blood, which improves the flow to your brain, and it just basically calms down your nervous system. For me, this is huge because I am regularly dealing with a toddler who just turned 2 and is having a lot of meltdowns, and it can be really challenging, and it really wears on me throughout the day to deal with just these crying fits that end in a few minutes but sometimes take forever. And instead of reacting and responding in anger or frustration, I just inhale and I exhale. And honestly, it enables me to calm down and just make the next right decision instead of freaking out alongside my toddler and also reacting emotionally. Or when my infant is crying and I can't console her, breathing deeply really helps, because it doesn't really help us to also get all riled up at any situation Or if you're not a mom and you're watching this, I want you to know that this tip does apply to you. If you're at work and your boss or your coworker says something really annoying or negative, like, hey, that project you just turned in is really dumb and is not what the client asked for, or whatever it is, whatever negativity you experience throughout your day, try to take 3 deep breaths before you react to it. If you get a really frustrating email from a coworker or a client, take 3 deep breaths before you reply to it. You're gonna make a way more level-headed decision, and you're gonna respond with way more calm and from a way better place than if you just remained frustrated and just responded to the situation from that really frustrated place. This 4th tip is huge for me because it's something that I really do all day long. If I'm having a really tough day, I'm gonna be honest, some days I'm feeling really anxious for no reason. I'm feeling really paranoid. And some days I'm just feeling super down. And the way that I handle that when I have to be home alone all day until my husband gets home is I listen to something positive, or I watch something positive, or I read something positive. So whether it's a YouTube video, a podcast, an audiobook, or a physical book, I make sure that there's always something that I am reading. So as soon as I'm feeling down, frustrated, stressed, ungrateful, I reach for that audiobook, or I reach for that physical book, or I watch a YouTube video, and I subscribe to a lot of positive people so that I always have positive information coming in to kind of counteract the negative thoughts that I have been telling myself for my whole life. It takes a lot of work to rewire your mental habit. If you spend a lot of time talking to yourself negatively or just having really self-defeating beliefs and thoughts, you have to actively pour positive information into your brain in order to rewire your brain and how you perceive the world and the things and people around you. So I highly encourage you to get, 1 or 3 influencers, YouTube videos, books, whatever it is, and have them around the house. I always have at least a book at the ready on my phone or on my coffee table or wherever it is, so that when I'm feeling down, I can reach for that instead of reaching for Instagram and scrolling and making myself feel worse. If you want to know who I am listening to, reading / watching at any given moment, leave me a comment. I'll answer. The list is long, so I don't want to say it all here, but if you're interested to know who I go to for positive inspiration, let me know. My 5th tip is take a break. This is crucial, and not only is it crucial, it's something you really need to do regularly. As with all self-care, this isn't something that you should do when you are falling apart, and it isn't something that you should do twice a year. Self-care, physical and mental self-care, needs to be done consistently, just like brushing your teeth, washing your face, eating 3 meals a day. It's really critical that you do it regularly as a part of your life routine. In fact, the more consistent and regular you practice your self-care, the less likely you'll be to have overloads and breakdowns and hysteria in your life. Don't wait until you're melting down to try to practice self-care. Don't wait until it's too late to try to take a break. I mean, obviously, if you're falling apart, take that break. Try. But for me, I noticed that when I wait until I'm falling apart and I'm overtired and I'm overworked to take a break, my brain is so overwhelmed that I can't even think straight to know, okay, what day am I free to do that? Who should I call? Do I call a sitter? What sitter again? Do I even have a sitter? My brain is like freaking out and it can't seem to make a clear decision. Do you experience that? It's like when I wait until I am at breaking point, it's like all I can do is sit in my bed and mindlessly scroll through social, which does not help me at all. So I encourage you to figure out your go-to for taking a break, whether it's having a weekly date night and hiring a sitter for the same day and the same time every single week, or communicating with your spouse, at the middle of the day, be like, hey, this was a tough day for me. When you come home, I'd like to take an hour nap, or I want to get out of the house and go grocery shopping on my own. I have done that. I have literally have pumped a bottle to go to Costco by myself while my husband stayed home with our son and daughter, just so I can have some time to myself. It doesn't have to be you paying for a sitter and spending a ton of money to have a break. Build in these breaks, I'm serious, every single week consistently, so that you have time to breathe before you're suffocating. That's all I'm trying to say. And on that note, please don't be afraid to voice your concerns. I know a lot of women that feel like, oh, well, I'm the wife and I don't have the full-time job and I'm the stay-at-home mom, so I shouldn't ask my husband to watch the kids and all this nonsense. Absolutely, you can ask your husband or your partner to watch your kid or kids. They also brought these children or child into the world. They should also be helping you. If you don't have a partner helping you with your responsibilities or with your child, make sure you just ask a friend or ask a sibling or whoever, or save up and hire that sitter. But what I'm saying is do your best to take a break. And if it's not relating to leaving the house, maybe after the kids go to bed, take an hour to do something that you love to do. play the ukulele, paint your nails, I don't care what it is, but be intentional about it. Because a lot of times when we don't make a plan and we don't schedule our self-care, we end up doing something that isn't great for us, like binging on Netflix or binging on social media, or just something that just tires our brain more instead of filling ourselves up. So I encourage you to schedule and plan your breaks before you need them. My last tip, which is something that a lot of people might not like, but it's been huge for me, is decluttering your home. I know this is overwhelming, especially if you have a really messy home. Mine is honestly getting to that point. I just had a baby 8 weeks ago, so people are giving us tons of gifts, which is incredible and amazing. But with all of these gifts and like donations and hand-me-down stuff, which I love going through and finding cool finds for free, I am just getting kind of overwhelmed in my space. There's a lot of things that need to be gotten rid of, especially before Christmas. So I just encourage you to tackle it one room at a time. I actually have a specific process that I use for decluttering now. I am someone who kind of used to hoard things and do not anymore, thank goodness. So I will make a whole nother video about my decluttering process, but I just wanted to throw that out there that one of my tips for your mental sanity is decluttering your home, because studies have actually linked a cluttered space to anxiety and depression. Looking at a space that's cluttered and messy all the time actually ignites stress in you and can make you feel sad. So I want to encourage you to declutter your home. And if you want to see a video about how I go about decluttering my home, tell me in the comments. Let me know if that's something you're interested in. I'd love to share with you how I do that. Those are my 6 tips for mental self-care. I hope they were helpful. This was the last video in the self-care series. I will link the other 2 below. Subscribe to my channel though if you haven't already, and hit that bell so that you can know when I upload another video. We're going to keep this going, talking about things that just help us live better lives. And on that note, I wanted to share that I am creating a special guided journal and planner to help people implement their self-care more easily. For me, it's really challenging to remember my self-care just in the hustle and bustle of life and the constant needs of everything and everyone around me. I actually created this journal out of my own personal need and then realized that I'm probably not the only one who needs something like this. I am a journal and planner junkie, so I've tried a lot of different kinds of journals and I haven't really found one that's really self-care focused and created in a way for someone who struggles with anxiety and depression like me, for someone who really struggles with self-care. I wanted to create something that is geared towards someone who has those issues. Basically, in the name of having a more whole, more full, more peaceful life, I have created this journal. And if you want to know when it's ready, I will leave a link below so you can click on that link to get on the list, and I will email you as soon as it's ready. That's all I have for you this week. I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you in the next one. Bye.